So if we could close our eyes or turn our gaze inward and simply be, welcoming our experience just as it is. There is nothing lacking and nothing in excess. When we are just as we are, without adding any personal story, without adding any conditions. Effortlessly, our true self, our reality is peaceful. It doesn't matter what is happening in the world or in the body or in the mind. All is well. And we recognize ourselves as this wellness, this peaceful beingness. So we can rest as that. In essence, there is nothing that we need to achieve. There is nothing that we need to accomplish, nothing that we need to fix. In essence, we are burden-free. Undefined awareness. the world, this perception appears to us problem-free, pristine, unrehearsed, perfect as it is. There is no need to give power away from your very being to an idea, to an image, to an abstract entity. You may wish to do so, but you do not need to do so. You may wish to imagine yourself as somebody, to imagine others, but you do not need to do so. We recognize beingness as impersonal, effortless, limitless, unlimited awareness, the peace of being, which is undisturbed by thoughts and images. Which has no borders, no personal limitation. At the heart of all impressions is the silence, the stillness, which permeates knowingly or unknowingly your entire experience. You have never been otherwise. But this transparent presence the body may have certain characteristics, certain traits, the world that you perceive may appear in a certain manner, changing, transforming from moment to moment. But you, this transparent, aware presence, do not transform. So we invite the possibility of recognizing ourselves not as a changing form, but as the changeless awareness. Which knows it is via I know I am. Which knows itself to be formless, unchanging, changeless reality. Which we refer to as I. In the Christian scriptures, it said, be still and know I am. I am this stillness. Notice that your experience is complete as it is. A complete intimacy. The intimacy of one every thought, every perception every sensation. Appears to you in complete intimacy. Is nothing that you experience that is separate from yourself as awareness. One could say that I, this aware presence, experience the world, body, mind out of myself as myself. To myself. That I conceive, create, and perceive simultaneously. What we refer to via the mind as the world, the body, and the mind. This living understanding reveals that there is, in fact, no external issues, external situations. Rather, moment by moment, here we are, sometime needing to feed the body, sometimes needing to water the garden, sometimes needing to rest the body. Every situation arising freshly to you in complete intimacy. No one to protect, no separate self to defend or polish an image or maintain any position. We don't know. We don't know how the next moment appears to us, what it presents to us. But there is no separate self within this entire realm. And so, in essence, personal worry and personal concern are an unnecessary add-on, aren't they? Okay, well, if there are any questions?
Hey, Maggie, I got a very quick thing to say,
Yes.
and then maybe a very short question.
Yes, Frank.
Yeah, so I just want to say that I'm sorry that the other day when I was on the call, I was on the meeting here with you guys, and Holger had asked you about your brother that had already been a month, and I came in like I only saw this when I watched the video back, that I had cut in between him asking you, Holger asking you, and you were sitting with the question, and I thought you guys were done, but when I saw the video, I realized you were still in meditation about the question, and I was hoping after I saw the video that I didn't cut you off from saying anything else, because I thought you guys were done. But so I want to apologize for that. That was a very sacred moment, and I think I cut in on that very sacred moment. So I wanted to say I'm sorry I did that, and I wanted to give you that chance today if you wanted to say something about your brother that you didn't say that day.
It's really strangely, most of the time, just fine, as if the passing of my brother sort of never really occurred. But when Holger asked me, and also now as you are asking me, somehow I feel a certain sadness. So that's how it is. That's how it is. Okay.
Well, I feel sad that you feel sad, Magdi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you know, we're not separate, you know, so
Yes.
it's
Yes.
universal sorrow to a certain extent, you know, and also it's I feel it's not it's like a form, one of the ways in which love also appears at times. You know, we meet, and somehow I feel that our meetings are sacred. All our meetings are sacred, even
Yes.
when we go to the store to buy, you know, some grocery, and we say hello to the shopkeeper. It's a sacred moment where we
Yes.
somehow we are one. And
Yes. Magdi, I'm not sure at what point I should jump in here and ask something else, or should I just wait?
Go ahead, Frank.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. This is something I've been wondering about. Because you brought this up today in the talk in your meditation about how we create and perceive. So I think we've talked about this before. So the mind, our consciousness creates and then perceives what it created, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the other day I asked somebody about this whole dynamic of perception and creating, and because we were talking about how thought, we know this person was saying that thoughts come up. We only notice the thoughts come up after the fact. So if I have a thought like, oh, I want to go to the store, I'll just go, oh, that thought came right up out of nowhere, and I'm noticing it afterwards. But to me, there seems to be something illogic about that. Of course, I'm thinking from the body mind, so probably everything's illogic from that point of view. But I always think because anything that we perceive, like you said, is something we create. I don't know if it's we, but consciousness, and we as consciousness, I guess, are included in that. So are we creating our own thoughts and then seeing the thoughts afterwards, or almost like forgetting that we're creating them and then seeing them? Or how does that work?
Yes. So there is a body-mind instrument that functions in a certain way, and are various elements to this body-mind, and it's of course interconnected with the world, with the universe, and the body-mind structure, the senses, the eyes, the hearing, the functioning of the brain, the nervous system. There is a certain mechanical aspect to the body, the world. There are radiations, you know, within the cosmos, waves of various elements and energy that's flowing, that's pulsating, that is sort of traveling throughout the entire universe. So the body, the brain, the senses, they're observable. You can study how long it takes for, if you put your hand in the fire, what is the time between the hand touching the fire and the brain firing a signal saying, ouch, saying, step back, get away. Of course, you need very sophisticated instruments and a very sophisticated science. And we are sort of in the scientific age now where we're capable of observing and studying the functioning of the body, the speed of sound, the speed of light, how the nervous system functions, what parts of the brain fire, how long does it take between the hearing and the understanding, meaning the signal reaches the eardrum, the crystals in the ear, and the signal that is fired to the brain that translates this vibration into meaning, into. So all of that is at the body-mind level, and of course, the more advanced the technology becomes, the more precise or more advanced will be our understanding of the world body-mind mechanism. Now, when it comes to I, meaning consciousness, there is no phenomenal way of studying consciousness, because consciousness is not a material, it's not phenomenal, and it's not possible via any phenomenal experiment or any phenomenal method to study consciousness. So it's not possible to study the relationship of consciousness with the world body-mind mechanism. It's not possible to study that via scientific ways. But you can study the relationships between the world body-mind in a scientific way. Now, you know consciousness directly, meaning you know you are conscious. This knowledge is being proven to you, it's being demonstrated to you every moment. Because every moment you are conscious. So you have evidence of consciousness, not because you're observing consciousness like you're observing a sound or you're observing a thought, or you're observing a sensation. The evidence you have of consciousness is more direct than that. It is non-phenomenal. It's via the fact that you are aware, that you are conscious. Now, everything that appears to you, a thought, in your experience, it does not appear to you from a source somewhere. There may be a thought that appears to you that says, well, thoughts are appearing to you from, there is an emitter, a station out on Mars, and it's emitting thoughts, and you're receiving those thoughts from Mars. There is some people out there who into the brain, into the thought manufacturing business, and they're creating these thoughts and they're sending them to you. That thought may appear to you, but that's not your direct experience. Your direct experience is that, boom, there is a thought. You know, I like to go to New York City, like to visit New York City. Boom, the thought appears to you. Your direct experience is that the thought appears to you, but it does not appear to you separate from awareness. It's not like you could separate awareness from the thought. Say, well, okay, well, awareness is 1 micromillimeter. There's a 1 micromillimeter distance between the thought and awareness. That's not your experience. Your experience is, in fact, that boom, there is awareness takes on the form of a thought. That's a way of speaking. It's a way of speaking. I mean, of course, take on a form. I'm just using language as best as I can to basically point to the zero distance between the thought and awareness. So if thought is appearing from anywhere, from any source, even that's awkward to say that it's arising from. It's like, okay, here is now consciousness manufacturing a thought, and okay, wait a minute, all right, in 0.6 second, consciousness already manufactured the thought, and 0.6 second later you're going to experience the thought. No, that's what science has determined, is that the brain acknowledges the thought. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but the brain acknowledges a thought 0.6 second after the thought has already somehow fired. It's already in the brain. We do a brain scan, and we notice, whoop, here is a bleep in that part of the brain. We can notice the wave. There is a wave going on here, and then we say, oh, I'm thinking I'd love to visit New York City. So there is a relationship between the body-mind recognizing a thought and the brain functioning. There is a relationship between the brain functioning and the body recognizing that it's hungry, for example. I'm not very knowledgeable about these relationships, but they can be studied. You can study, because there are ways in which you can sort of dissociate certain aspects of the body, mind, and the brain, and study their relationships via certain studies. But these studies do not pertain to consciousness. You cannot study consciousness, because, as we said, consciousness is via which you perform any study. Consciousness is actually the primary tool, if you want to say it this way, via which we perceive and we conduct a thought experiment via consciousness. But we do not conduct a thought experiment onto consciousness. So, which leaves us with, yes, there are some relationships between the brain, thoughts, brain functioning, thoughts, the response of the body, various ways in which the body responds to a certain thought. There are relationships that can be studied, but there are no studies, no phenomenal studies that are possible about consciousness, which brings us back to the consciousness being our uninterrupted and direct experience. Because there is nothing that we can experience via something else than consciousness. Consciousness is 24/7, always conscious. Awareness never, there's no off switch to awareness or to consciousness. And given that everything we experience intimately as consciousness, given that we do not experience anything outside of consciousness, we do not experience a thought apart from consciousness or a perception apart from consciousness. Given that everything we perceive via consciousness, and consciousness is the reality of everything that we experience, or the substance of everything we experience, or it is the substratum of everything that we experience. Like the ocean or the water is a substratum of all waves, of all currents, of all. It's a substratum. So when we're studying the relationship between thoughts and the way the body responds and brain activities, and we are downstream from consciousness. We're basically studying the relationships between various aspects of our experience, which we have isolated. So we isolate the brain, and we isolate various parts of the brain. We isolate the senses. We study the relationship between various aspects of our experience, which we have isolated, and we study the relationship of these elements that we have isolated. And there is a purpose for that. As we know, these sorts of studies have allowed us to gain a better understanding about the functioning of the world, the body, and the mind. It has not made us wiser. Actually, we've been trashing our body, we've been trashing the world, we've been trashing our mind, we've been trashing the body by feeding the body junk and treating the body like a machine. We've been being insensitive towards the body and towards the earth and the planet and the universe. We've been mad. We've been mad, pretty mad. And with the mind, we've been trashing the mind with the belief that happiness is a result of an objective. It's an object, that happiness is objective. So it has not made us wiser, but it has provided us with some clarity about, in some cases, about how the world, body, mind, relate. And this, of course, this interest and the study is ongoing, and as technology improves, we will discover more and more things about the world, body, mind. So in terms of your question about consciousness creating and perceiving, well, what what else, what other candidate you have that's available to you for creation. Whatever it is, whatever candidate you have for creation, because there is experience, so therefore there is creation and perception. Whatever candidate you have better be real. Because if you present yourself with an unreal candidate, then you are fooling yourself and fooling everybody. So what is it that is real in your experience? Besides consciousness, outside of consciousness, which is changeless, is always there, unchanged, pristine, the same consciousness, same awareness when the body was 12-year-old, and same awareness when the body is 40 years old. So what other candidate do you have for reality outside of awareness? None. So therefore, if you're interested in understanding creation, you have to go to reality. You have to go to consciousness. And ask consciousness, who and what is the creator? And consciousness will blink at you, say, hey, come on, are you kidding me? Here I am. I am the conceiver, creator, and perceiver every moment. But when we mistake ourselves to be the body-mind, we believe that there are different, I don't know, we go somewhere else. We go in our belief systems and our thoughts, and we go into confusion.
So Magdi, just so I understand you, so you're saying that, yes, creation is consciousness, everything is consciousness. So consciousness creates, and then it perceives. And we as consciousness, no?
Sorry, there isn't and then. It's a simultaneous.
Oh, simultaneous, okay. So is there a hierarchical relationship between consciousness? Because I guess I'm going back to different thought systems and religions where there seems to be a hierarchical relationship between consciousness and man or object. So, or even man, like some religions have an idea of man as spiritual. It's not even an object. But what's your thought on the idea of man as part of consciousness? Or is it always just an object, a material object? And is there a hierarchical relationship there?
There are no parts within consciousness. There are no parts of reality. There isn't like a human reality, an animal reality, a reality, and a non-reality reality, and vegetal reality. There is no such thing. There are thoughts that say, well, yeah, there is God's reality and there is man's reality. That's just a thought. But there is one reality. So whatever you refer to as man's reality is not different from God's reality. Whatever you refer to as universal reality or the reality of the body or of the world or whatever can only refer to that one reality. So there are no sub-realities within reality. But we do know in our experience that bodies come and go, thoughts come and go. The 10-year-old Magdi and the 50 or 60-year-old Magdi you put the two pictures together, you say, you're kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is the same body? Of course not. So obviously, the world, body, mind are changing, but their reality is unchanging. When I say their reality, in our experience right now, there is a reality, whatever it is. In your experience when you were a 10-year-old playing basketball, whatever you were doing, it was a reality, whatever it is. It's the same reality. Now the mind, the body, the world were different. And actually, different moment to moment. Right now, you're driving, so obviously the world is changing for you. There is a mountain, and then there is maybe the lake, and then after the lake, you come to the city, whatever. And the body is changing too, the sensations in your body. So if you want to talk about hierarchy, it's not really a hierarchy, it's more like a commentary that there is an aspect in our experience which is constantly changing, which is the world, body, mind. And there is the changeless, which is awareness, but they are not two. They're not two. You do not define consciousness via the world, body, mind. You don't say, well, oh, consciousness is changing because the weather is changing. Or consciousness is changing because the body is changing. This morning I was feeling good, now I have a bellyache, so therefore consciousness has changed, right? We don't say that. So they're one. There is nothing that we experience that is not consciousness, nothing. Of course, we label a table, a car, a tree, but this does not mean, because we are labeling them for good reason, this does not mean that now they are separate from consciousness, that they have a separate reality. It makes sense to call it tree a tree, because when I tell you, hey, let's meet under the oak tree, you know what we're talking about. You're not going to go meet me, at the grocery store. So although there is good reason to conceptualize the world, conceptualize the body, conceptualize the mind, this does not mean, because we are conceptualizing it, that it has a separate reality from consciousness.
Okay, Magdi, thank you. That's a lot. I'm gonna have to watch this back later.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, Frank. Okay, be safe.
I will.
Okay. So any questions? Hello, Holger.
Hi, Magdi. I'm always so critical with my own questions, so I rarely allow them. So there seem to be like, the end of seeking is peace. But there seem to be like two variations of peace. One is just, it's a mental peace because we believe to understand certain things. And then there's another piece which is maybe physical, emotional, where we just feel comfortable in our own system.
It's still an experience.
Yes, yes.
The peace that we are talking about, sometimes we say the experience of peace, but it's really not an experience. It's not a phenomenal experience. So the peace of being is the absence of a personal self, absence of the belief and feeling that that consciousness is personal and limited, that I exist in time and space. Absence of that impression from your mind and from your body and from your entire being, the entire absence, the entire ending of the impression that there is someone. It's not the absence of experience or maya or phenomenal sensory sensations, feelings. No. There can be feelings of sorrows, even or regret, but it doesn't wrap itself around a personal self, around a me. It doesn't form like some sort of cocoon. Rather, it's a field, a borderless field, an open field of being, sensing, feeling. But there's nothing at stake, no impression that there is somebody that you need to safeguard or take care of, or yes, we take care of the body, we take care of the world, we take care of each other, we take care of our children, of course, but it's void of angst or personal worry or it's free, it's open, it's a flow, but it's not a particular sensation or a particular experience. It's not like it's a nice experience. No, nice experiences are beautiful. We all love them. It's the background. It's the background of experience. But it's not apart from it. It's a background of experience which permeates experience as well. And you know yourself to be the universe, the universal self. Of course, these are words, but you know that you are not a limited body, mind, limited person. Rather, you recognize in religious terms God's grace, God's flow, God's creativity, God's love through you, and you also know it through everybody. It's not yours, like yours. It's the entire realm. The entire realm is a blessed realm. But the Sufis say, wherever my eyes fall is God's being, God's body, God's creation. Wherever my eyes fall. So, of course, we welcome happy experiences, but we remain at a deeper level unconcerned about happy experiences or unhappy experiences, because they're like the weather. And given that there is no separation, we have no control over the weather. We sense each other in ways that we haven't understood yet. Like I was talking with Frank earlier, maybe at some point technology will be at a stage where we can perform experiments that that study the effect that we have on each other across the universe. Right now we don't have such. I don't know, but I don't think we have conducted such studies. I don't know if it's possible with our technology right now. But yes, we are this transparency. So, like the black hole, in the cosmos, all sorts of energy flow through it, and it doesn't like sort of go on the other side. It's a flow. It takes and gives. There is a receiving and you pass it on. It passes on through you. So it's a flow through you, to you, and then through you.
Thank you, Magdi.
Yeah, all good. So our reality is not contained, not like in the body or in the brain. So the brain, the body, thoughts appear within this reality. And this reality is what we know as I. Not I, the body, I, the mind, but I. Just I, beingness.
Yeah, it's so clear to me that the body appears to me.
Yes.
I mean, this is amazing. This is beautiful.
Yes, it appears. Everything appears in this borderless openness. There are no borders that we know. So we don't know any borders. So therefore we say border. Until we discover borders, we say, okay, there is border. But even we haven't discovered any borders to consciousness, to awareness, to this I, then we say borderless awareness. We say. And so then we rest more and more in that. We invite, let's say, as a way of speaking, we invite our whole experience, our entire sense of being, our entire experience. We invite our entire experience to this understanding, living understanding.
So it's not about, it's not mainly about making sense. It's just about a peace that you cannot explain, but that speaks for itself.
Yes, speaks for itself, and also it's the peace that's speaking.
Thank you, Magdi. Beautiful.
Okay, Holger, lovely to see you. Okay. Any questions? Okay, well, thank you all. Lovely to see you. Nathan, Frank, Holger, Esther, Mina,
Thank you, Magdi.
Lisa,
Thank you very much.
George, Jenny, Grace, Isaac, Ola, Isaac, Zoe, Fiva, and Marga. Thank you all.
Thank
You very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi. See you next time.
Thank you, Magdi. Thank you.